I know that you are having a lot of difficulty with wondering about the future of your child. Have you ever had your child come in crying because they said they couldn't do something? Have you ever had them come in from school saying the teacher doesn't like me? You worry about behavior of your child out in public or even in the classroom, and you're getting notes from the teacher. I understand that. I'm Jim Poole. I'm a physician who has dealt with ADHD and kids with behavior and impulsive issues for 40 years. I feel your pain because I have kids that way too. I often say I was a great doctor until I had kids because they didn't come with a manual. And I know you're frustrated. I know it's irritating. I know the worry, the panic that you're feeling. What I hope you get out of this video is just the fact that there's not only is there hope, but there's a pathway for your child. It's very exciting for me to be presenting to you. You see on the screen FastBrain, and it's got two eyes in it because I came up with the idea that we've got to change the name of ADHD. It is attention described differently. And brain has two eyes because I misspelled it in the middle of the night when I was typing it into the computer. Our brains are fast. It's not that we have a problem with attention. I can put attention to something. I might be putting attention outside the classroom or outside the window when you're talking to me. So it's not that I'm not paying attention. I'm just not paying attention to the teacher or to you or to whatever I'm supposed to be paying attention to. I am going to go to the next most interesting thing, no matter what that is. I often talk in my parent class. I'll say a helicopter's landing in the parking lot. What are y'all going to do? And everybody says, well, we're going to look at the helicopter. Of course, your child is always looking for that helicopter that's landing in the parking lot. We are constantly distracted, and so there's a lot of issues with attention. One is the ability to keep attention. One's the ability to my impulsivity. The other is to eliminate distractions. But what I want to talk with you about is how can you become that hero? So as we look at FastBrain and we sit there and we have the name, and you say, we're going to focus on your child's strengths. There's enough people out there talking about your child's problems. But my problems don't get me through the day. My strengths do on a daily basis. Why do we dress the way we do? Why do we do the things we do as adults? Because those are our strengths. That's where we feel comfortable. We have a 92% success rate, taking people to this feeling of success. And that's over 7,000 patients. So we're really not so much good at what we do. What we do is that we help you as the parent understand your child and help your child understand who they are. We know that parenting the FastBrain child is more than difficult. We know that we've all got to get help. I'm always constantly looking for that operations manual that our child comes with, but it's just a tough time. And so at FastBrain, we look at behavior, medical side of things, and the educational side of things. And so we're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about the positive success points and so forth. We all have learned totally different through the pandemic. I kind of laugh when the number of parents that come in say, I've had it. I'm having trouble sitting there. Or I didn't realize my child had so much trouble sitting still. And we've been kind of blaming it on the school and the teachers and why are they always sending us bad notes home. Yeah, our child is having difficulty and we've all experienced that. As a grandparent, I've experienced that with my own grandkids trying to teach them during this pandemic. So as we look at it, we want to have this feeling that we got to be disciplinarians constantly. And then we turn into punishment. And then it turns into a big, uproar. What happens when you get a bad note home from the teacher? Child comes in, you kind of get on the child, and the child says, I didn't do it. I didn't push the child, the friend. And he said, well, the teacher said you did. Well, you don't believe me, do you, Mom? And so now arguments ensue. Dinner is not fun. Homework is not available because we're not going to sit still and do it. We're frustrated. Child goes to bed unhappy, and you as a parent go to bed unhappy. So nothing good is coming out of that. So with the stress that you're feeling as a parent, we feel that we've got to figure out a way to decrease it. I can't get rid of it. I've got, my kids are 30 years old, all three of them, and they're still stressed as a parent. So this is a non-issue when we talk about can we get rid of it. But we do want to talk about how can we interact with school? What are the anger issues? What are the parent-child interaction issues that are going on? What are the boundaries that we need to set? All those are very important. The self-esteem aspects of this. My goal is not to make your child successful. My goal is to help your child feel successful. When you feel successful about something, you can stand up and do anything. I was in the armed forces. My residency was in the Army. I had to stand up in front of 15 physicians and present a morning report. I had 90 seconds. The first time I did it, it was horrible. I was clobbered. They were after me all the time, asked me a million questions. After doing that for 2 or 3 years, I could stand up to anything and anybody. I could stand in an emergency situation and think clearly and react because I had been taught. I'd been going over and over in the repetition. That's what we want to teach your child over the next ensuing years, no matter how old they are, and even the adults we take care of. So we look at all the different issues that happen. There's a lot of, there's the stigma of ADD. There's our job performance as we get older. There's our environment. There's other peer groups. There's school. There's our diet. I mean, there's all these different factors that come into play. And we're going to talk about those through the FastBrain program because every one of these is important. Every one of them. And it's not just one thing. This isn't a quick fix. It is a long race, but it's a fun race. It's not a marathon with an end. This doesn't have a goal. It has a vision. And our vision is successful, is feeling successful as individuals. So when I know that being a parent, I looked at pictures trying to find what does a parent of a fast-brain child look like. It is tough. Man, we're out there. And just when we think things are good, it changes. So I always tell people that if you're happy, wait 30 minutes, life will change. And y'all are experiencing that, and you know that. So we know this is tough, and we've got to really work with this. So we've got to look at what are your expectations? What do you want out of your child? And the whole deal is, yes, we want the grades and we want behavior, but that feeling of success is so important. I'm really big on trying to help the family interact. And so we can't interact if we're not having dinner together, or we have TVs on, or we've got everybody sitting with their iPad or iPhone at dinner time. No, all that's got to be away. We've got to be sitting down and talking that one time that we're together. And dinner time is also not a time to be disciplinarians. That's a time of enjoyment. It's a time to bring up positive aspects of what happened during the day. For everybody, they need to hear your day. And it's okay for you to show frustration with your day, but also to show how you overcame the frustration. A lot of us, how do we as adults respond to things? That's how we want to teach our child and how they respond. We want that creativity and that imagination that develops the creativity, and then that gives us the passion. You're looking at Steve Jobs and the passion that he had and the creativity to do what he did with Apple and the Mac and so forth and the computer. He redid how we're doing things. And then Microsoft came along and started following because there's competition, and competition is good. JetBlue, that guy just took a risk and started a whole new airlines. And what about an Olympic swimmer, Mark Phelps? He sat there, all these gold medals, but imagine the passion he has jumping into that water and going. All these people are FastBrain. They're all constantly going. And we're trying to get it so that our brain, we know what our brain can do. If we're fighting our brain all the time, if we're trying to tell me as a racehorse to sit still and plow the North 40, it ain't going to happen. What does my brain normally do? And I'm a racehorse, okay? Well, so when I take off out of the chute, I'm fighting for position. I'm not trying to go in a straight line, and don't try to make me a plow horse. And you can't make a plow horse a racehorse. So you've got a child that's a racehorse, and that's okay. I never forget being at a Kentucky Derby party. Matter of fact, the only one I ever was at. And I was describing my patients as racehorses. And as the race took off, somebody said, what do you do with the horse in last place, number 23 at the first turn? And I said, well, what we do in school, we pull him out, we give him remedial reading. So I guess we give him remedial horse racing. We tell him he was up too late. He was on his computer and iPad too much. We chastise him. I said, no, with that horse, I will support him. And you know what happened during that race? In the back stretch, one of the guys standing around said, "Look at your horse 23." And I looked around and he was now in the middle of the pack. Now I'm screaming at the screen. And when it came around the far turn in the last turn, he was in 4th place. And guess who won the race? You got it. I'm sitting there screaming, horse 23. And I said, that is my kids. They might be last place in the first turn. That might be your child last place in the first turn. But you know what? We're going to take them to first place when they come across the finish line. That's the success that we want. And that's the power of believing in your child, believing in the race, believing in what you're doing and doing it correctly. You know, we sit there and go, well, I want to test for my ADHD child. And I love this picture. Normal is boring. To them, normal is boring. And here's how most of the kids sit in my office. It's hilarious. I've got hundreds of pictures like this. All right, so let's find the test. There isn't a test. What do you mean there's not a test? I've spent thousands of dollars at a psychologist. I've spent thousands of dollars at other programs. Yep, there's not a test. There's not a computer program that can fix your child. We're not out to fix and change. Remember, we're not going from a racehorse to a plow horse. But we do need understanding. We do need boundaries. But we need to learn and understand our child. So as we look at it, I look at an integrated approach. There's a medical side of things. There's very much an educational side because this whole thing is about grades. And then kids screaming in the store, no matter how old. The behavior side of things. And so all this is interactive. But you know, if I have very poor self-esteem or I don't understand what's going on, I'm not going to pay attention. If I don't pay attention because I don't understand, I'm going to be looking out the window and now I'm in trouble. And now I'm looking for something to pay attention to. And it might be talking to somebody in the seat next to me. It might be doodling. It might be walking around the room doing things that I'm not supposed to be doing. Now I'm a behavior problem. I'm not a behavior problem. I'm somebody whose brain is going 90 miles an hour. I had an adult in the office yesterday, and she said, I need help. And I said, well, what do you find your main problem is? And she said, I'm 42 years old, and my brain will not slow down. And I'm just going 90 miles an hour. And so that's what it is. So what we look at, when we look at the educational side, we think big. Child yesterday said, went from D's and F's to C's. We gave high fives. It was very an exciting time because she had come a long way. And then I said, okay, now I'm not happy. And she looked at me and said, well, Dr. Jim. And I said, no, I'm not happy. Starting next year, I want all A's and B's. If you can go C, D, F to C's, we can go to A's and B's. And it's all about how you learn, and that's what we really work on. We look at you might need accommodations at home, you might need accommodations at school, you might need to learn how to learn. I have an auditory learning disability, therefore if you're going to talk to me, I need to take notes. If I can't take notes, I'm not going to do very well. One of my boys learns from hearing, so tutors work great for him. I don't learn from tutoring. I learned by writing, so I have to read it. So I bought my notes in med school. That's how I got through. When we look at this list of ways of learning, learning in small chunks of time, notice that the first thing is underlined in yellow. Guess how much learning you do when you underline? 0. It does not help the brain. I did have a college, actually another girl, and she made straight A's. She was so excited. She came in last week and she said, I said, well, so how do you do that? And she said, well, she underlines. And I'm kind of inquisitive because I know underlining you don't learn. And I said, so then what do you do? And she said, well, after I underline it, I go back and paraphrase it in my own words. And then that writing helps me learn. And so there you go. So it's all interactive. It's how to do. So again, it's not just going over it at the last time. It's repetition. So you need to engage. You got to review it. You've got to repeat it. And then you got to do it fast and you got to do it again. What we have found, if you go back the last 4 days, everybody goes to A's and B's. And so when somebody comes in making C's, I say, well, I know you're not doing what I asked you to do. And not a single person in the last 7,000 are doing the repetition every night over the last 4 days. If they're not doing that, they're not making A's and B's all the time. And those that don't make A's and B's, none of them are doing that. So we then got to look at the behavior side of things. We do have to help. We have to look at cognitive behavior training. Unfortunately, counseling doesn't work. Russell Barkley, who is a very well-known, probably the best well-known psychologist and a friend of mine, has written all the major books on psychology in children. And he even talks about you can't counsel ADD out of somebody. You do need medication. Now, you need something else going on. If you have something else going on, you very much may need counseling. So if you've got depression and anxiety and different things, they need to be looked at. But we walk around, us ADD folks, FastBrain folks, we have 70% negative self-talk. So our job as a parent, we got to get rid of that negative self-talk. We got to give them the positive self-talk. Are we giving them at least 60% positive things during the course of the day? That's what, when you look at studies, they say people that receive 60% positive talk to them, towards them, then they ended up doing so much better in life than those that were receiving negative all the time. If I'm in school and I'm fidgety and I'm not sitting still and my handwriting's sloppy and I'm not doing my work, I'm perceived as somebody who doesn't care. That is not the case. But I'm going to receive a lot of negative self-talk from the moment I wake up to the moment I come back to home. So we've got to sit and look as parents of how are we approaching this, how are we doing, what is the reward system that we're using, and what are we doing? And then when we look at the medical evaluation of things, there's a lot that we look at. It's not just who you are, because you could have a developmental issue, you could have very much a chronic disease of some kind that's causing an issue that we need to pick up. You could have a neurologic issue. So we do labs. We look at your vitamin D level. We look at your iron level. We look at your thyroid. All very, very important for learning. We need a history. We need not only the family history, but we need the child's medical history. We need surveys from both you as parents, grandparents, the child, and the teacher. All that comes to play in trying to figure out what is going on and what's the best avenue of a therapy or a way to help your child to go to that next level. We'll even do an EKG to make sure that the heart rate is normal, and that if we were to use a stimulant, there wouldn't be a problem. And even, I hate to say it, but we pick up, and it's good, we pick up probably 1 or 2 out of 100 kids, we will pick up an EKG issue that gets them, we will send them to the cardiologist and they'll take care of them. So what we know is that there are all these issues, oppositional defiant, anxiety, depression, all those things. And look at this whole array of things that are going on. 60-70% of my kids have something else going on. I see a lot of autistic spectrum disorder kids. The fun thing is, God didn't say whoops when he made us. They just have a social disconnect. They're usually very, very smart. And if we can figure out their avenue and help them through their anxiety and depression because people don't understand them, they will become very, very successful. And my kids are really becoming successful teenagers and successful college and successful adults in work. So we've got to go through all those things. And the anxiety has become huge with teenagers, mainly due to the cell phone, because if I text and say, can we go to the mall together, and then I don't receive a response, then I'm wondering, why aren't you answering me back? Am I not included? On and on and on. And the teenagers will text to at least 50 people through the night. So you got to get the cell phones out of the bedroom and keep screen time down. So we do need to understand, how does the brain work, the role of medication, what works, what doesn't. Are there side effects? There are lots of side effects. Everything you've heard about is real, but I don't like side effects. I take medication and I've had all the side effects. I don't take the medicines that give me the side effects. I change the dosages and so forth. I have over 15 meds that I can give. They each have, 4, 5, 6 different dosages. So, multiply that out to the number of types of and numbers and types of medication that I can give. And we can find. So it's not trial and error. We don't make errors. I laugh at that. It's try and see. And so let's see what works for your child. Let's see what happens. Cannot tell you the number of parents coming in tears because I'm putting your child on medication if we go that route. And I mean tears. And nobody is happy to have to use medication. And the number of those same parents coming back tears later because they are feeling positive. And why are they feeling positive? Because here's a child. Look at the handwriting. What do you think he felt about himself? The teacher thinks he doesn't try. The parents are frustrated. There's nothing to do. So we finally all agreed we'll use medication, and this is how he came in. He was beaming from ear to ear. He got Best Student of the Week award in the classroom. Remember we talked about positive reinforcement? All of a sudden the teacher's giving positives instead of the negatives. This is a phenomenal change that happened in this child because they felt that they were okay, that they were positive. We use supplements. I even have a PhD biochemist from Emory University who does cancer research with plant derivatives. So I said, can you start making me some supplements? He's got a brother-in-law who's a naturopath doctor in Oregon. Working together, we've come up with a group of supplements that really help. You've all heard of DHA and the omega-3s. We also use phosphatidylserine because it helps the omega-3s work within the brain and cross the blood-brain barrier. We've come up with a Focus A product that works really good. Had a sixth grader taking 1 or 2 in the day and making straight A's. I had a guy, a senior in high school this last year, making straight A's using just Focus A. The supplements you get across the counter, I can't vouch for them. Most of them, when you talk about a supplement, it means it's not FDA approved, which means it hasn't gone through a lot of clinical trials. What we do is that I'm a physician, I see my patients back. We have played quotes with the medication, what's in it, till we can get to a formulation that works. And this is what works. And so we're having good success with this. We have some good success with other supplements also for anxiety and things. When we look at a survey of our last 1,000 patients, we see that 92% are becoming successful. This young man is a saxophone player. He was playing by the notes, very, very methodical. And I told his mom, he's fast brain. Let him just play by ear. We kind of went at it. She went out. She came back 2 weeks later. She said, you got to look at this video. And there he was Alex was going nuts playing the video. He's now in a jazz university course taken from the top saxophone player in the world. He is phenomenal. If I played some for you, you would think, who is this guy? He is obviously a star, and he is, and he will be a future star. So when you look at fast brain success, the kids that come into my office, they're all varied sizes and shapes and so forth. This is one of the biggest guys I've ever seen, 6'4", 290 pounds, all D's and F's his whole life. Start of his junior year, I get a hold of him. He makes the AB honor roll. His senior year, he plays for the state championship and they win it. He is now on scholarship in college, Division I school in California. This guy struggled in school, became the top math guy in the entire class. This girl struggled in high school. She then becomes a star in high school and gets a certificate, which is what she's showing now. And she now is in college and she's a straight A student. I'm sorry about this. I'm not sure how the Clemson #1 slide got in there. But what Clemson does, it's all in. And their motto is we're all in. You as family members and parents and everybody have got to be all into this. This isn't just something for the week. This isn't something for the day. This isn't something to yell at. This is an all-in program of all the different things that we're looking at, all the different aspects of things. What happens as you get older? You become parents, and then you also become adults. And adults, we all have ADD. When I was going through school, it was called minimum brain dysfunction. Teenagers didn't have it, girls didn't have it, and adults sure didn't have it. Well, we know all that's not true. What we're after is personal productivity improving. And over the last 2,000 adults, I've seen that many stories of improvement from individuals that couldn't read, that we got them into a reading program. And this man and his family, he ended up getting 3 promotions and bought his first house. Now you tell me that wasn't a tearjerker day in my office when we found that out. One guy was in his late 20s and was about to be fired. We put him on medication that I had him on when he was a teenager, and he comes in and he's got 2 promotions and is solid where other people were being laid off, and he's done super well, and relationships with his girlfriend went great because he just could focus and get things done. So we are the crazy ones. This is a picture of some of my fraternity brothers, and everyone struggled in College, I did well because I got into med school, but I struggled in college. Uh, One was head of sales for Purina Foods and Land of Lakes. One was a helicopter pilot in the Marines. One was a colonel in the Army. One was head of the boxes that they make for Amazon. One has telephone pole business for North Carolina and South Carolina, and he was in forestry and in Georgia. I mean, this guy's go, go, go. And then Marion on the left struggled in school like crazy, goes home, was given off of the farm in Effingham a little 2,000 square foot building to do canning. He's parlayed that into Glory Foods, Margaret Home Canned Goods. They're the #1 family-owned canning business in the United States, doing 4,000 cans a day. And in that, fresh produce is 7 to 8 days old. He cans within 48 hours. I've been to his place many times, driven a Jeep into one of his warehouses, and the stuff comes in off of the trucks and it's immediately put in, it's immediately canned. And he puts it in the can, seals it, and cooks it in the can. I mean, it's done quickly and it's clean, it's efficient, and out the door it goes. Did he struggle in school? Yes. Does he have FastBrain? Yes. Do all these guys have FastBrain? Yes. Is that a problem? Not now. It's why they're successful. They have issues with writing and doing things. I have my issues. But we have to realize that our child has a tremendous future ahead of them. We are the crazy ones. And I do want you to pull up the crazy ones off of YouTube. It's quite an interesting thing to look at. So our paths to success are diet, nutrition, sleep. I mean, a child that doesn't sleep well is frustrated, irritable. Think about how you are when you don't sleep well. You go to work and you say, I didn't sleep well last night, so I'm going to have a bad day today. So does your child if they're up playing video games and so forth. That's going to happen. We do have to make sure that with diets that we kind of keep the sugar at an even keel so we don't have a sugar rise. Insulin kicks in, you get the sugar crash, and then your child is frustrated and irritable. We do the medical tests. We do the medical physical exams and the history and so forth, and then we look at the school. So those are our big issues for success. And then we want you to, we'll have a FastBrain parenting course so that you can help you believing in your child more, leading by example, staying positive with your child, all those types of things, because it's all a shared responsibility as you become the hero for that child. And so with 7,000 stories and counting, we're taking DF students to AB honor roll. Adults are becoming more productive. I had a college kid come into me with tears in his eyes, a football player, and said, Dr. Jim, I'm okay. And I'm telling you, those words, I mean, they bring tears to my eyes, because we take somebody who walked into school in the 3rd grade, told that they were wrong, something bad with them, and that happened. 17-year-old girl the other day who's in the autistic spectrum, and she has had that diagnosis for 4 years. She came in after the 3rd visit and said, you totally changed my life. And I feel so great about myself. And she's actually headed off to college in a few months. And she's so excited about her future and what she can do. So we have FastBrain core values. Every child has value. We focus on their strengths. We look at lifestyle with correct diet, exercise. Play is a way of learning. What is the grit that we want to develop the grit. We want your child to work. We know that the kids that are told and made to work at a younger age do better when they become adults. We have a growth mindset. Failures and mistakes, all they are is learning moments. That's how we learn. Think of the mistakes you made and what you learned from it. Don't chastise your child for it. Don't be happy with the mistake, but we got to fix the mistake. But don't jump on them. And the brain is challenged by those. And there's an A in all of us. If I'm hitting a forehand in tennis and I hit it one time, then I can do it every time. So it's in me. I just got to figure out if I'm shooting a 3-pointer and I nail it, it's in me. So the trick is to do it every time. The trick is to figure out how to make that A every time. So what we want you to do, give us a call if you're in our area, or get on our website, look at FastBrain video, understand what we're all about, come into the office, talk to us, fill out the history forms, bring them in with you, and really talk with you about all the issues that you see. And there are all kinds of things that are going on, and that's what this puzzle is all about. And we're going to put all that puzzle together for you and help you understand your child. I was even pushed to write a book, so we've written a book. It was a great book. I handed it to my analytical son, who said, "Dad," and I went, "Yeah," I was real excited for his review, and he said, "It's a mess." So Matthew put it all together for me, and then has written this parent handbook or a workbook to help with the book, and we're doing videos to help with that. But the whole idea is to realize, what is my strength? My strength was the creativity. What was Matthew's strength? Putting it all together into a form that is easily readable and so forth. So we all have our strengths, and so don't try to make them all. Remember the racehorse. Okay, remember what you've got. It's a good friend of mine, physician, he says, we're like race cars, but we need a different kind of brake. We don't have bicycle brakes. We need big brakes. We need help with all that. So when you come in to be successful, we come in for the initial visit. We do follow-up visits, and if medication's prescribed, we're going to follow you up very closely to make sure that things are going well. So bring it on. We're excited. We're excited for you. This is a great opportunity for you to kind of change the pattern, to change the pathway, and to really bring it on to something. So pull up fastbrain.com. This is who we are, and this is our future, and I hope it's going to be yours too. Thank you very much.